What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Sith Council. It's Wednesday, everybody. Big thing, Sith Council. It's going to be me and Mike Kalinowski today. So God help us all. Who knows what the hell's going to happen? But we got a lot of things to talk about. Mandalorian's right around the corner. Bad Batch, new episode dropped. And Bob Iger says there's going to be a lot more Star Wars coming out. So we'll talk about that and more. A lot of articles over on Star Wars Newsnet that we'll get into. And obviously, we will take some questions from you guys as we lead in closer to The Mandalorian. A reminder that on February 27th, on that Monday, we'll be dropping the Big Thing episode with Katie Sackhoff. We'll be talking about The Mandalorian, the upcoming season. Right before it airs, we'll have Bo-Katan herself on the show. So make sure you check that out. If you are brand new to the show, you've never been here before, we just need you to show a little class. Just an ounce. And subscribe. We're almost at 70,000, man. Head on over and subscribe to us. Apple Podcasts and Spotify, by the way. Spotify right now, we're on video. So we've gotten into the top charts because of you guys. So if you can go over there and follow us, it helps us get back into the charts, helps us get other great sponsors and all that. That and more. Patreon.com/The Big Thing Show. If you haven't joined that. Got another little announcement about that I'll make up top about something that we're going to be doing recently. I think people are going to be excited about. And that's really it. You want to get yourself a shirt, get a Sith Council shirt. Do that. It is on the store right now. You can get yourself some of the merch. And that's about it. It's me and it's Mike Kalinowski. Let's do it, everybody. It's the Sith Council. You ready? I'm ready. Let's do it.
I can feel your anger. It gives you focus, makes you stronger.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Sith Council, myself, and this character, Mike Kalinowski.
Here I am.
We're back.
You are.
That's right.
Here we are.
Thanks for joining us here on the Sith Council Big Thing episode, everybody. As I said, it's just me and Mike flying solo here. Pun intended, I guess.
You can't fly solo when there's two people.
True.
All right, let's go.
You gotta watch your mouth.
Here we go.
We're flying solo.
Off to a great start.
Dude solo. Dude solo. I guess today I posted Brett Sheridan's stand-up comedy. We both went up at Flappers Comedy Club. So that's up on the channel. You can watch that, and I'll post a clip from my set. But the reason I bring that up is because, as I mentioned to you guys in the start of the show, Patreon usually is where we have been running a lot of our stuff, from the Schmodown to everything, too. We're going to be transitioning into my site. We're going to have the Kristian Harloff website. And not only will, if you're a patron, you'll be able to get the same benefits there, which will be transitioning into this site, but you'll also be able to get the live events that we're going to be doing. We're going to be doing something at Flappers, hopefully. We're definitely going to New York. We'll probably be going to potentially to Florida, Chicago. We're moving out the cities right now. I just had a meeting earlier today about it. But as we do those, we're going to be putting those on the website, and you'll be able to sign up there. And if you're not like monthly and you just want to watch, let's say, hey, I want to watch the big thing that's going to be in Chicago. Well, you'll be able to do that directly through this website. We're not going to do Patreon as much anymore. We're going to keep Patreon as it is right now, and we're not going to shut it down, but we're just going to start gradually pushing towards this, and this comes from you guys. You're like, why don't you just do your own website instead of Patreon? And it's like, you know what, we'll try it, and we'll see who wants to join us over there or do the exclusives and all those types of things that we do. It's not changing anytime soon, but we're moving towards it. Moving towards this. I just want to give everybody know as we get into these tours. All right, let's get into it, Mike.
Yeah.
Bad Batch.
Yeah.
What'd you think? Another one of those ones. Yeah.
It's an episode.
What'd you like? What you didn't like?
I mean, what can I say about it? It was fine.
Mm-hmm.
Little Lion King in there, I thought, with the running down the pathway and the things getting chastened and whatnot. I found it funny. I was one of the guys, PLD, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You mean the guy who runs the Patreon?
Yeah. PLD. He tweeted out. He had a guy. I had to bring it up. He said that in this enhancement episode, an enhancement episode as opposed to a filler episode. It's like, I get the character building, and people like these small episodes for the character building. It's like, we know Echo or Omega loves the pack.
Right.
She loves them. They're not together right now. She's upset because they all work together as a team.
Right.
We got that. What did this build that propelled the character filler episodes?
You think we saw it already?
Well, yeah. What do you need to build more relationship, especially 2 seasons in with these people. Like, you know, I filler episodes, stupid term, like in Mando. They build relationships.
Right.
But this, like, what did it build?
Well, I
that
think
they'd work together better as a group? Like,
harder for me to say.
What was it?
Harder for me to say because I know what comes after, and I do think.
Okay.
I don't necessarily think it's a full filler, as people say. I do think that it is relevant. In general, I think it does strengthen it, but I do also agree that I think that they could have maybe focused in more on one of the type of episode that they had like last week, right?
Yeah, I just. They might have been given a series order. Like, you've got to do X amount of episodes. Like, Jesus, this story, if we stretch it over those, it's going to be too much. It's going to be boring. All right, well, we got a couple episodes. We're just going Adventures of the Week.
Yeah, and this one felt like
This is
that
Adventure
again.
of the Week. Yeah.
Yeah,
And then, what's her name? The lizard girl sending him out on the bounties. She sucks. She sucks. The crap she sends them on, she's like, I can't help you. Oh, well.
All right, and they bail,
you did that?
on her. Yeah.
All right, well, can you hang tight for a couple days? Like, fuck you, lady.
Right.
Like,
It's
she sucks.
It's Rhea Perlman, man.
Well, she sucks. She sucks. Is it real Perlman?
Yeah, it's Rhea Perlman.
Wow.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Yeah, indeed. But I'm more so, like I said, I when I was telling you guys about this, these are the types of episodes you get.
But you haven't seen them all.
I've seen 14. They only offered 14 out of the 16.
Why didn't they give you the other 2?
I probably don't.
Stingy
Maybe it's big spoilers.
bastards.
They might be big spoilers or something. I don't know.
Bastards.
I don't know why. But either way, I knew that we were getting more stuff like this. But I will say that what comes later, you're going to be in the same type of mindset you were last week, because you came in here last week going, "Oh, this was great.
Yeah.
This is the type of show I want to see." There are more episodes like that.
I don't doubt it.
Yeah, but it's when you have to watch episodes like this, you're just like, exactly. I felt the same. It's like, okay.
Okay.
All right.
Now you're
That's
drilling.
fine. Yeah.
They're putting the child in peril again.
Okay. This is basically just the bread at the restaurant before the meal comes, which is Mandalorian.
And you'll always eat the bread.
Always eat the bread.
You'll never go,
I don't want it.
no, I don't want that.
No, I got
a little butter, a little olive oil, please.
It's bread and butter,
Yeah.
and you're like, okay, you know what? I'm not full yet.
Right.
Bring on the meal.
I'm not going to eat enough for this to get full.
Right.
It's not going to satisfy me, even
No.
if I do.
But the meal's coming, man, and it's
Yeah.
coming on March 1st, so we can.
And you know what'll happen?
What's that?
Then I'll have my meal, but I'll take my bread and I'll get the sauce. I'll
Yeah.
stop off the sauce.
Yeah, so
And
and
eat
you
it
might
all.
have a sauce
So they make-
episode in like 15 and 16.
And it helps the bread better.
It helps the bread. But all right, so we got. There was a lot that came out on this. It was like Empire or whatever it was. They had this whole article with Jon Favreau talking to Empire, and he talked about Din and Grogu getting back together in Book of Boba Fett, and Favreau addressed them basically getting back together and what it meant for season 3. And this is what Favreau said: "We couldn't just hit a hard reset. It's going to be interesting to see how this unfolds for people who may not have seen the Book of Boba Fett, but I think that the Book of Boba Fett offered time to pass. You saw what Mando was like without Baby Yoda, and we saw what Grogu was like without the Mandalorian, and neither of them was doing too good. So them coming back together was a really good plot point that allows us to jump back into season 3 while still maintaining the central relationship." Speaking about balancing Grogu's time with Luke against the goal to reunite him with Din, Favreau said, "I think you have to service both things. Not just because this kid has the potential and had training, does he belong away from the Mandalorian. I saw it more like Paper Moon, where the whole thing is about delivering the kid to the blood relative, only to realize that whether genetically through her father or just through bonding, Tatum O'Neal has to end up with Ryan O'Neal. That ending just feels good to me. And this little kid is given a decision to choose, and the kid chooses the emotional relationship and wants to be with the Mandalorian, passing up Yoda's lightsaber. Parts of you wants to see him develop in that way, and part the other. It's clear that Favreau understands that the desire of both Din and Grogu remain together and to see Grogu expand his abilities. You have this interesting character who has Jedi training to some extent, Force abilities, but is also joining the Mandalorian culture, which we've established as something you can opt into. It demands a lot. It offers a lot. Historically, Mandalorians develop all those tools and armor and weapons and are able to counteract the Force abilities of Jedi. So as a storyteller, this offers tremendous opportunity." This does answer a bunch, not answer a bunch of questions, but it starts for you to say, because everybody's always asking, well, what the hell happens to Grogu during the new trilogy because all the Jedi are dead? Well, he's not officially a Jedi.
Right.
So he could be a Mandalorian at that time.
Yeah.
Running around the joint somewhere else. And he doesn't have to be alive. He can still have Force abilities. You know, there are other people out there with Force abilities who aren't Jedi.
Right.
It's the religion that was gone. So you could get away with that, right?
Sure. It's interesting reading that article because I saw that and you know, there are a lot of people that, and myself included, I was like, okay, so basically he went with Luke for an episode, now he's back with Mando. He kind of, the reunion of the two of them was kind of like, okay, maybe you want to see them apart more, but I wonder how much that has changed. Like, was the original intent we're going to get Grogu, put him with Luke, and he's going to go off and be a Jedi? And then to see the audience and fan reaction to Grogu and like, oh man, we can't not keep these two together. They're the crux of Disney Plus Star Wars. Like they're everywhere now. So we got to get them together. And do you think the execs are like, oh, you're going to do it at the end of Mando 3? No. You got to get him back at the beginning.
I'm sure.
I wonder, and because it just seems like Din and Bo and all them with Mandalore, that was going to be the story, and him becoming a Mandalorian again.
Yeah.
And now Grogu's kind of like tagged along.
Yeah.
I'm sure the story will work, but it just seems like maybe at the end of it, season 3, they were going to get back together. And then you're like, the whole season, you're like, you got to get back together.
Well, they kind of established that Din was going to go off. I thought it was going to be this whole battle for Mandalore and him being like the top guy. And then, I think there was the note of, do we need them together? And, do they want to risk maybe, whether they did their data research, and do we want to risk not having people tune in? Because when you have everybody on board, kids, adults, everybody, it's scary to think, well, what if we lose a portion of that audience?
And what they went through after season 1 was like, we don't have no merchandise? What do we do?
I know.
And now we got all this merchandise, and now you're going to take them apart? You're out of your damn mind.
I know. And it's probably exactly what happened.
You see the machinations of the higher-ups of a studio going, you gave us this. We got to keep it together now.
Yeah, can you bring, is there a way to bring them back? And then they probably thought of it, the idea that they have to do it. I do agree and think it makes sense, though, that you don't want to spend 2 episodes reuniting them in The Mandalorian.
Yeah.
Where you can, maybe Boba Fett was only, 8 episodes? And then they made it,
Boba was 8 and 7. I think 6 and 7 were
Mando. Or 5 and 6, whatever it was. You may be right. But it's 2 of those are focused on them, and they're in 3 episodes.
Yeah.
So it's, and they needed them to, those were arguably the 3 best of that season.
But it hurt the Book of Boba Fett.
Because that's all people were talking about. Right.
It hurt it.
Yeah, because it wasn't.
But you had to figure out, all right, that's filming. Can it work?
Yeah.
It can work.
It was the most interesting stuff that they've done so far. It also showcased more of the how good both Dave Filoni can be in live action and Bryce Dallas Howard can be in.
And I think actually it did a better service to them, like, because we all assumed Grogu would go and train with Luke and we're that Jedi, but to then have him go, you know what? No, I don't want to be with those people. I want to be with you.
Yeah.
Like, choose that. That's great storytelling.
I get it.
To go against what we as the norm. He's going to go train with Luke, and there's going to have these great Jedi montages, and it's going to be about and he's like, no, I like this guy. I don't want to do this.
And I think business-wise, for the show, like you said, that these 2 are established, I think it does. I understand why they made the choice. I really do.
Yeah.
I was hoping for Din to be on his own, because I wanted to see, because the thing was, here's the other thing that people don't realize. In episode 1, people were tuning into The Mandalorian not knowing what was coming with.
Sure.
And you watch that first episode of The Mandalorian, you're locked in the whole time without Grogu.
You're locked in that first scene in the canteen, that one where he gets Horatio's hands. You're locked in from the beginning.
The whole time. You're watching, you're locked into it.
Yeah.
It's just, the problem is that you're spoiled with, by the time you do get him, you're like, oh, that reveal at the end is the big, and then they set up who he is and all that type of stuff, and then you're locked into him. But people were watching that show before they even knew Grogu was in it. I just thought that you could have tried to do some standalone of Din, and especially now with, even though Pedro Pascal, for the most part, it's his voice more so than anything else, but he's still, people are very recognizable that it's Pedro Pascal.
Yeah.
And after coming off the success of Last of Us, she might have had a chance to run it solo. But if they came up with the story that makes it make sense, then so be it.
Yeah. Hey,
Well, we'll see. But you got, the show is right around the corner. Are you rewatching it?
I haven't started yet.
Are you going to?
Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
I have to.
Yeah, I want to be all caught up.
I did it for 2 when 2 came out, so I did 1.
I'm gonna do 1 and 2, and then the 2 episodes of.
Probably
Fucking
try to
Boba
knock
Fett.
out 2 a night. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see. I want to go to this next story here.
What do we got?
All right. So this is the next story here. Is Bob Iger promises that Disney Plus is going to lean harder into Star Wars and other brands. Bob Iger. This is from Grant Davis. Now, Bob Iger says that he's been making the rounds talking about the future of Disney Plus, noting that it will become more reliant on established brands like Star Wars and Marvel, and less likely reliant on original programming not tied to the company's core brands. In addition, Iger and company have convinced Nelson Peltz to halt his aggressive advances to try to gain a seat on the board of directors, which could have potentially put the future of Disney Plus at risk. Bob Iger recently spoke on CNBC about the changing approach to streaming at Disney. Despite making significant gains in a market that was previously dominated by Netflix, the overall growth of the service has slowed a bit in recent months, with the first ever quarterly sub loss happening as a result of Disney ceasing their streaming deal with the Indian Premier League. Disney is currently at work on ways to reduce their overall debt, so an adjustment to the strategy is expected. Iger responded to queries about profitability and cost cutting by explaining that the streaming service has shifted from seeking subscriber growth to seeking cutting costs and searching for optimal profitability. But he first wanted to note that Disney Plus has far surpassed company expectations by a substantial margin. Iger says the following. Well, I think that one of the things that happened was we got a little bit maybe intoxicated by our sub growth. We said 60 to 90 million subs in 5 years. We blew through that. We blew through that in a year. And suddenly everybody was on board with this I can't say the word.
Meteoric.
Thank you. Meteoric sub rise. And then it would continue. And we leaned into that because it seemed like that was the primary metric that we'd be measured by. Now, we also said that the time we'd be profitable in 5 years, which is coincidentally the end of 2024. We reiterated that yesterday on the call. So now, as we've looked to basically become profitable and figured out how to do what we do, it's clear to us that we have to continue to grow subs. But it's not just about that. We have to have the right pricing. We have to have the right marketing. We have to have the right content. And if you go back to the structure that we've put into place, which is a direct linkage between the creative side and the distribution side, there is greater likelihood that we will have the right content. They'll make choices because they're accountable for delivering that profitability. Now, Iger has deemed that the company's plans to continue overall growth to double down on the company's most successful brands. And this is what he said about that. This company possesses and has made some of the all-time great franchises. The 5 highest grossing movies of all time came from this company. 2 of them are from Jim Cameron, Avatar, and obviously Marvel has contributed to that as well. These are stories, I guess you'd call them, that are very valuable globally. They're leverageable across multiple business of ours and have a long life. You look at the movies that we've made years ago that are still performing extremely well on new platforms because they're evergreen in some form. So he also said that the plans for Disney Plus might spell some bad news for those looking at the streaming service for general entertainment outside of those offerings. He said, I like general entertainment in the sense that there's a lot of quality there and we make a lot. The Bear is a great example of that. The Old Man, what FX makes for us, what Searchlight makes for us. Just look at the Academy Awards. We want to curate that more aggressively. When I say that, that's primarily because in order for us to be more profitable in a company in this business, we have to reduce our expenses. So they're going to make hard choices. They're going to do some cuts and all that. But you know, when they're talking about leaning on the big brands and talking about Star Wars and leaning on Star Wars and now, sure. I mean, I think that we knew that when he took over again for Chapek and he was making the move. But I think they're going to. I think the series will stay. They're going to keep doing series, but they're going to do movies. They're going to do more movies.
But again, that has nothing to do with streaming.
Well, that part of it does. The series do, though.
Yeah, the series.
Right.
But they said they're going to lean into Star Wars. Like, if you're not leaning into Marvel and Star Wars, like that made it sound like we're going to lean into what's like you've been leaning into Marvel and Star Wars. We're getting to the point now where Feige's now out there going, we're going to push back.
Right.
We put too much stuff out there. We're pulling back. That contradicts each other.
Right.
That's a fascinating contradiction.
Well, I mean, yeah.
Feige just said this on the red carpet for Ant-Man. So he's saying we're going to push forward with more.
Right.
And Feige's going, we're going to give you less.
I think that he's also making more of a point that it's more of the heavy focus are on the IPs as opposed to.
Okay, so we say that, the IPs. But I can't think of a Disney Plus show that I watch that's not these IPs.
And that's what he's saying. But the difference is this.
So they're pumping money into like Mighty Ducks.
They're making things that, or other things that you just don't know about.
Yeah.
And they're making things that people aren't watching, even though they want to try it for original stuff.
Yeah.
People aren't watching it. They're watching. You just hit the nail on the head.
I guess so. Yeah, I couldn't tell you what they make.
That's the
Willow?
point. Yeah, and even that's not an original. That's a Lucasfilm IP. I mean,
right.
It's not, but so yeah, it's this original stuff that they're making that they were going to focus in on heavy because they knew what brings in the subscribers.
I think, and it's so funny because when he talks about we've had the 5 biggest movies of all time, I was like, well, you didn't. You bought those properties and brought them in.
Right. Well, Fox.
Fox.
I mean, Avatar,
Fox,
the two.
Fox was Avatar, and then Marvel was Marvel before Disney bought it,
right.
The different companies. But
but Marvel, though, they had a lot of...
Sure. I'm not saying it.
But Avatar, you make a good point. Yeah,
you
they
bought into that.
Yeah.
But it's fascinating because, like, well, if I want Marvel or Star Wars, like Disney, that's all it thinks. Like when he mentioned The Old Man.
Yeah.
I think it's FX.
Right.
Like, or The Bear, or these
Hulu.
these
Well,
shows.
they say you might want to sell Hulu.
Yeah, these smaller shows. That's not what I associate with Disney Plus.
Right.
So it's. I mean, the world knows them as Marvel and Star Wars.
I know.
I mean, I say that, but I think there's people that like Disney is Disney for a lot of people means different things. Like the cartoons and the animation and this and that, Pixar. You know, for me, it doesn't mean that stuff. It means Marvel and Star Wars. It's weird. It's a weird thing, but I'm not the core audience for Disney.
It's true. Do you know that Bob Iger? I mean, hey Siri, how old is Bob Iger?
I'm gonna show you something too.
Yeah. Bob Iger is 72. Bob Iger's 72 years old. And how old do you think Bob Iger looks?
Pull him up.
How old do you think he looks?
64,
Right,
65.
he's 72. You know why? Because
Looks
he's
good.
drinking Athletic Greens. I'll tell you that right now. He's drinking a lot of Athletic Greens, Mike. Athletic Greens is phenomenal. AG1, I've been using it for a long time. You guys know it. It's amazing. And they're with us, and they've been with us for a long time. And I wasn't a big pills and vitamins person. I wanted a supplement that actually tastes great. And I take AG1 all the time now. All the time. And I just put it in a water bottle. I shake it up. I told you that. And for me, it's really about that sleep quality. That's what helps me. And I noticed that it helps right away. Sleep out like a light. It's awesome. And I don't like to take a whole bunch of different things. You take it all one shot. That's it. It's a life hack, baby. This is they're a massive, massive life hack. I love it. If you're looking for an easier way to take supplements, Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1-year supply of vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. But you have to go to athleticgreens.com/big-thing. athleticgreens.com/big-thing. Check it out, baby. Check it out, baby. All right, we got some more.
We're talking about Iger.
Yeah.
Hold on, I had it here
Go
for you in my contacts here.
Yes.
Who is that down there at the bottom? Want me to give him a call right now?
That's not real.
It
How do you know Bob Iger?
Because I work for Disney and I get the emails from the company.
So would
And
you steal his number?
Well, Siri just puts it in my phone.
Oh, but you don't have
I got the company email from him when he took over. Very nice email.
Okay.
He addressed everybody.
You don't have
It was
his phone
very
number,
nice.
though.
Well, it's in my Siri's contacts.
That's his email.
Well, want to email him, get him on the phone
Go ahead
right
and
now?
say, Siri, call Bob Iger.
Right now?
Dare you.
I can't.
Exactly.
It's not for personal use like that.
Don't be
Come on, I
scared.
can't just throw it on there flippantly.
Don't be scared. All right, let's see if there's any other stories that we should get into here before we get into the questions from the audience, because
It's a very interesting take so far, just to see how different he is from Chapek.
Oh,
as far as their
tremendous
keeping people informed and
he's a
their
leader,
plans and stuff.
leader and not leader.
Yeah. There's a difference between a manager and a leader.
100%. I think there was something about the Acolyte I wanted to talk about. There
was.
There is something about the Acolyte. Let's get into that.
There it is.
All right, here's a story about the Acolyte. Again, this comes from our friends over at Star Wars Newsnet. Lei Zhangzhe is shooting the Acolyte through April, says South Korean sets are more efficient. Leslie Headland's upcoming Star Wars live-action series, The Acolyte, has been filming for a few months in the UK, and while lead actor Amanda Stenberg has talked before about their experience on set, we haven't heard much about the series' male lead, Squid Game's Emmy-winning actor Lee Jung-jae. In a new interview with League and Sports, Jung-jae was asked about his experience filming for the first Disney project. He explained how it will be filming in the UK for another couple of months, adding, "I was told not to talk about it as much as possible. It seems that filming will run until March or April. I actually felt that in some ways, filming sets in Korea are actually more efficient. There are many aspects of the work which are similar here, but I feel that there are areas where the Korean method is more efficient. Of course, there are aspects I'm still learning from as well." It's a good way to give compliments to your new job. Jung-jae's comment on the schedule seems to line up with Daphne Keane also saying that she'll be filming through April as well. Initial reports on the production timeline asserted a November 22, May 2023 shoot, which could turn out to be the end of April, or the show reserving a few extra weeks for additional filming. With the Acolyte set being not far from London, it's entirely possible that at least part of the cast will be part of Star Wars Celebration, either inside a panel promoting the series or as guests signing autographs and taking pictures. Okay, well, if they don't have the Acolyte at Celebration,
like you're not going to be there, right?
No.
I think Steph's giving coverage.
Yeah,
I would kill for you to be there and then not talk about it. I would have loved it. I wouldn't film the stage. I'd film your face.
but wouldn't you be in the same?
Of
boat?
course.
It's just like there's no world where they don't have
They
them.
just don't.
You
They're
can't.
there. They're down the block.
And they're shooting already.
Yeah,
it's like
they've got to.
That would be if they do a panel of upcoming stuff. And this is the weird thing, though, by the way, because I'm one of the main reasons I can't go to Celebration this year. I'm going to a wedding on April 8th, which is that Saturday.
Yeah.
Right. The Star Wars Celebration this year is that Friday the 8th, the 9th. I think it's 4 days. It's
Okay.
like it's either I think it's Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday.
Okay.
It's 4 days. So
Yeah.
I would assume that they usually open up big on Friday. That's when all the big movie news usually comes out, and then they do like specific panels on like but I don't know, maybe Saturday is going to be a big one. How it's different. Normally it was Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, but
Yes,
not this
for
year.
us.
Yeah, which is weird.
Hey, who knows
I
why?
wonder, but they're going to do. I mean, this could turn into more so of a conversation of Star Wars Celebration, right? Because we're what 2 months away, which is crazy.
That's crazy.
right?
It
was
feels like we were just
yesterday.
there, and that old lady was running me over in her ECV.
That was the best. God, that was the best. Absolutely the funny story. Anyway, but anyway, we usually start this time, and we'll be kind of deep into Mandalorian, so we might not cover it as much.
Deep.
But yeah, but I think if we kind of speculate now,
Yeah.
right? You're looking at Mandalorian will still be on the air, so they're definitely going to do a Mandalorian panel. I'm sure they
Do
will.
you think so?
Yeah, I already. I mean, we asked
I
Katie.
think-
we asked
Oh,
we
oh.
asked Katie when she was on the show, and
Yeah, from
she's,
the horse's mouth, huh?
Yeah, I said if she's going to be there, and
She said?
she's going to be there.
Okay.
So I mean, that doesn't necessarily mean they're going to do a Mandalorian panel.
It always seems these things though when the show is on the air, they're done with it as far as promoting it. Like Comic-Con, if it happens, Comic-Con's
Andor
during the
was
summer,
done. Andor was done. It was right about.
but it wasn't out yet.
Right. Oh, you're
I'm saying I mean, once
that
it's aired. Once it's aired, yes.
And I guess
They moved on
Obi-Wan
from it.
Obi-Wan aired that day.
But that was still the
No, I know. It was
Yeah.
before they shot. So
Yeah.
I do think that they because only the other reason why is because I would argue that The Mandalorian is the most popular Star Wars thing that they've done since the prequels.
Yeah.
And
I don't think anyone can argue against that.
I think some people would say that it would there are people who love the new trilogy and would say, look, I'm not going to tell
Oh, I
you
see
I'm
what
not
you're
going to tell you that
saying.
the Force Awakens was the most hyped and was the one that got the most
Yeah.
like juice for sure, but as far as quality of Star Wars content, The
Right.
Mandalorian has been everybody. Like I love Andor. Mandalorian is still my favorite, and not everyone feels that. There are a lot of people who love Andor, but there are a lot of people who feel like Mandalorian is way more their Star Wars thing. So I
Sure.
think it would actually be a disservice if they don't do a panel there, especially if the show is still airing by the time they do. Maybe even they might even do
Now-
what they did, by the way, for us for Obi-Wan. They might show the finale there if it lines up.
Now, I because they didn't do this at Celebration, but at our Celebration,
Mm-hmm.
but do they ever do like a Comic-Con where they're like, you've got your Hall H, that's your massive stuff, but also you got Ballroom 20,
Yeah, they do that
which
too.
is like the second biggest stuff. Like I could see them doing a Mando panel, not
There's
on the big release.
No
area.
chance it would ever do that because Mandalorian,
Okay.
because Mandalorian is the most popular thing. Like you could. The only reason they don't put people in
But there's
those
nothing
big.
they could talk about. Like, hey, we got this casting that
But
you've heard he might be on the show, and so joining the cast, this person coming out.
why wouldn't you do that on the big stage? And that's like
But why Mando's going to be airing already? So
But yeah, but they're gonna want to talk about the season so far. There's no way Mandalorian doesn't have Mandalorian is absolutely gonna have a main stage for sure. Filoni and Favreau will be there.
Okay, so the panel we saw that was John Williams, Willow, Andor,
Yes.
Ahsoka.
Yeah.
That was like a main.
That was like their main thing. Yeah.
But remember, like either an hour or two before or hours later, they had like the animation panel with like.
Yeah.
I could see them doing that with Mando, where it's not part of the main package of, this is the biggest things ever.
Do you want to bet again? So you lose another bet?
We're we're broke even on
You
those
never
bets.
lost. No.
You shut your mouth.
All I need to do
'Cause
is
I don't
tell
remember any
Matt.
movies that
all
were
I need
announced
to
then.
do. Yeah, but I didn't never made that steak dinner
Yes, you
bet.
did,
No,
son
I
of a
didn't.
bitch.
People have sent you the footage. It never
I have the
happened.
receipts,
No,
as
you
the kids say.
show it to me. The
Not
audience
on
will
me.
provide it to you. You never. Anyway, so the bet that I would make is there is no way that the Mandalorian is not on the main stage in the main panel. No way.
That's your bet. Okay, so the Mando.
It'll be on the main.
Okay, so
it'll be on the main stage.
during the main panel with like the reveal of a movie slate, the reveal
No,
of
no, no,
you're
Movies.
backtracking.
No, I'm not. Movies are if they do a full movie panel like Lucasfilms presents like the movies and they announce that they're going to do movies and TV on the same panel. Then yes, then I would say that absolutely Mandalorian will be in there. If they're going to do separate panels where they're just going to talk TV and they're just going to talk about movies. Yeah, but I don't know. I don't know
if I can make it.
What I will say is this: last year,
Yeah.
The Mandalorian had its separate panel as well. I don't think they're going to do both. I don't think they're going to have both a separate Mandalorian panel And they very well might, because again, it's just too popular. But we'll find out.
Yeah,
The slates will start to come. What I will say is that the Acolyte will be involved in the TV slate.
Has to.
They will also involve Skeleton Crew, because those are the ones, and Ahsoka, obviously. All those, I think you're going to get a full Ahsoka trailer. Finally,
I don't think there's any Andor stuff.
No, I mean, maybe if Andor is there, then it would be like, I don't know. Yeah, probably. I mean,
I could see them starting the panel off with some Mando stuff. Katie coming out and talk like, "You guys loving what you're seeing so far?"
Right.
And then they go into Acolyte, Ahsoka, and Skeleton Crew.
The only reason why
and maybe leave with a tease of Andor at the very end.
Because of season 2, because they would announce like season 2 is coming, because season 2 is supposed to come next year. So it's a possibility.
They tease Andor.
Maybe.
Hey, we just cast so and so as this.
The
role.
the focus will be Mandalorian, Acolyte, Ahsoka will be the heavy. I think will be the heavy one. Ahsoka might get its own panel, like the way the Mandalorian did.
Okay.
Because that's the next one out the gate after Mandalorian.
I don't see why they just don't do a day of all exclusive panels. Like each show gets its own panel.
Because who knows? Because then Visions is going to get some stuff, because they announced season 2 of Visions.
Yeah.
They'll probably announce some new animated series that they're going to do, whether it's Bad Batch season 3, or if it's going to be another season of Tales of the Jedi, or whether it's going to be Tales of the Sith, which is what I think more people would prefer at this point. Now, movies.
Yeah.
They're going to announce that Lindelof movie. They're going to announce their plan. Now, I don't know how many movies they're going to announce, but they're going to announce it. You don't think they announced the Lindelof movie?
Oh my God, my hand to bet is like...
On the Lindelof? You don't think they're going to announce the Lindelof one? That one I'll bet. I'll even bet hard
What are they
cash
announcing on it?
I think they announce what it is.
The plot?
I don't know about the necessary plot. Maybe. But they're going to announce what it is, saying we've already either we're going to start filming, or we've got... It won't be one of these things like, yeah, we hope that it happens. It's like it's going to either start filming or it has started shooting. You don't think that?
I don't know if I can take that bet, man.
Bob Iger is not going to mess around with. They've got to get a Star Wars movie out at this point. They have to, and they have to announce it, especially with DC.
But when he was talking about that thing to Empire, was that he didn't mention movies?
Not yet, because I think they're holding it for Star Wars Celebration, and I think Lindelof will be there. I think there'll be a movie announcement. I think they'll definitely. I think the Lindelof thing will happen now.
Do you think Kathleen Kennedy's going to announce it, or do you think?
Yeah,
Iger?
no, I think.
I don't think Iger will be there.
No, Iger will be there.
You think so? Has he ever been to one?
Yeah.
Celebration?
Yeah, he's been to Celebration.
Oh, okay.
He'll be there. I think he was. I think he was. I mean,
But he'll let Kennedy talk.
D23 is usually when he's the one making the announcements, obviously.
Right.
But maybe they bring him out, maybe they don't. I don't know. But yeah, she'll be the one. I just still think it's a mistake for her to be the one coming out and doing all the announcements, just because
I think she is.
She is going to be the one. There's no doubt.
Yeah.
But it just screams corporate when she's out there. It doesn't feel like the second, Favreau and Filoni hit the stage. It feels like. I don't know. It just feels when Bryce Dallas Howard was out there talking, you're like, yeah, this is someone who's really engaged in it. Kathleen Kennedy's like, okay, she's reading off the teleprompter. She doesn't really give a shit about this stuff. So she's going to announce it. Everyone, I feel the energy in it. It's just, they give respect and like, okay, great. Let's get to it. Cause this is not, cause what are you going to announce something that doesn't happen, but she'll announce it. She'll talk about how great it was that she found Lindelof and decided she wanted to do it. And then, yeah, I think that...
Oh, I was going to say, Indy won't be out yet.
Not by that point.
Yeah, they won't be.
No, Indy comes out in June.
You think there'll be an Indy panel?
Because great. No, you asked
the Willow stuff. I think there will be.
Question. You're probably right.
I think there will be.
They did Indiana Jones last year.
I know.
He played the music and everything, and it's like because Harrison Ford comes out, and like, well, we have Harrison Ford, and bring him out. I just think and. Indiana Jones is my number one most anticipated movie this year.
Is it?
Yes. Wow. It's my number one most anticipated movie this year. And that being said, I still don't think it should be a Star Wars Celebration because it's called Star Wars Celebration.
I agree 100%. And it was cool as hell to see that.
And when Lucas
be there.
No, and when they put that Willow thing out there, I was like, why the hell are we showing Willow right now? You could be showing the Acolyte.
Yeah.
It's like, why are we showing that? And then people go, well, they didn't have anything to show at Acolyte. Then tell us who's involved. Tell us something. Have Leslie Headland come out and talk about how she's so excited as a Star Wars fan to tell you some of this, and don't give us anything, but give us something.
Yeah.
And it's like, as opposed to Willow, which when Willow should have been? Willow should have been and was at D23. That made sense because it was on Disney Plus.
And it should have been, and I know because they've got Celebration in D23, but I don't think they did any Willow at Comic-Con. And like,
I'm not
should.
sure, but
Like,
but they also but then the other argument people say is like, well, because it's Lucasfilm. It's not called Lucasfilm Celebration.
Right.
It's called Star Wars Celebration.
I'm in agreement on that.
It's like it's the same way that if you did a Marvel thing and you started putting out Star Wars stuff, and Marvel,
Right.
like, well, it's
People
a Disney
are
thing.
coming to this for Star
Disney
Wars
thing.
Celebration.
It's Star Wars
I
Celebration.
would doubt. I'm sure someone could prove me wrong on this. I don't think there was probably a single person that was dressed up as a character of anything that wasn't Star Wars. You didn't see
maybe
Iron Man walking around Star Wars Celebration.
Right.
You didn't see
It's
Willow
not
walking
Comic-Con.
around there.
Right.
They're there for Star Wars.
99% of the people are there dressed as Star Wars.
99.99% are there for Star
100%,
Wars.
100%. But Skeleton Crew. The question is this. Now you don't even think they're going to announce one movie, so we're not even on the same page there. I think that it is pretty much guarantee they're going to announce the Lindelof movie. But I will tell you that here's the thing. The question is, do they announce a second movie if they announce the
sweet
first?
Christmas, are you out of your mind?
I don't think they will. I think one is enough for them to do. I think it's a mistake. Unless they have a plan, they're going to do a trilogy
you
of
think
movies.
they're going to talk about one movie? Just one
Lindelof,
movie?
yeah, because I think it's going to come out in 2025. And I think they got to get the ball rolling on it.
And I'll tell you why I don't think that.
Okay.
Because pre this, we were gung-ho on Taika's Star Wars movie, pre-celebration this year. This past year.
But that's only because she said it was coming out at the end of 2023.
Right.
Remember that?
So, and they didn't say a damn thing about it. We're like, and this is before Love and
That
Thunder, I
movie's
think,
dead.
dropped.
That movie's dead.
The minute, and I hate to say this, but the minute Love and Thunder did what it did,
Yeah.
that movie was, it might have been on the fence, like, we got to work this, that. It's like, the minute that movie came out and did what it did, and I know it made like $800 million.
No, I know, but it was the fan stuff.
The reaction and the product.
Yeah.
They're like,
I
no,
actually think
we're
it was,
done.
and I think it was even less than that. I think that he's too busy.
Yeah.
And I think Thor: Love and Thunder was a reflection of how busy he is. He's got too much going on.
I also
And
think
you
he's
gotta
got
have
such a good style.
Yeah.
I love his style. I love his work. But when you go too far, you get what Love and Thunder, but also his style doesn't fit Star Wars to me. Like, I know his character does.
What about Mandalorian?
But the character was in there and it fit in there. And the Mandalorian, you were under very strict guidelines.
Bro, that's
You got a
but
tunnel.
but
You can't go and take a different road during this tunnel.
You're saying two different things, though. If you're talking about someone's style with someone else's script could work very well, and it did in Mandalorian.
He did with the
last one of season one.
Was it the one where they were the heist on board the ship?
Well, at the end when the last episode, the finale with IG-11 when he sacrifices himself and all that, like that was a fantastic episode with Moff Gideon and all that and Din showing it
doesn't feel like a Taika episode.
But
it doesn't feel like, that's Taika Waititi.
If you watch that conversation with the two stormtroopers up top, it totally feels like a Taika thing. Now,
that's the probably thing that doesn't.
But here's the difference, though. Thor Ragnarok, I loved.
Yeah.
Thor Ragnarok was written by somebody else, to which he collaborated with.
Oh.
Thor: Love and Thunder was written by him.
Okay, there you go.
That's the problem.
Sure.
Not that he's not a good writer. He's a very funny dude. He's a hilarious
I like his
dude.
work.
But it became, as you said, it just became it was the thing, and I mentioned it a million times over it scared the hell out of me, and rightfully so. And I was sitting in that audience watching the interviews, and they had Kevin Feige on there, and they asked him, well, normally with the Winter Soldier, it was like a crime. It was like a Born Identity type thing, and then you had Ant-Man, which was a crime heist, and this other movie, Spider-Man, was a John Hughes type film. What's this one? And he goes, well, this is a Taika Waititi movie. And I went, oh no, I'm like, that's the answer,
because that's not a genre.
That's not a genre. That's just letting him do whatever he wants to do. I'm like,
I didn't know when that happened. Yeah.
I'm like, we're in trouble.
I remember, I think it might have been during last Star Wars Celebration, we had gotten word and we heard it's like, yeah, this movie, it comes out soon. They don't even have an ending yet. And that was back in like April. I think.
Right.
We were like, you had heard.
Yep.
We always hear stuff like that.
Yeah, we were at Celebration. We heard that.
But it was like, I don't remember who it was that came up and told. Someone told us that.
I remember.
And they were like, they don't have an ending yet.
Right.
And it comes out in like a month.
Right.
They still don't have an ending.
They didn't know what they were doing with
so
it.
It's like,
it showed.
But then like, give them the benefit of the doubt.
But all of that also plays into what we're talking about, and that's the fact that you can't risk doing that with Star Wars right now. You just can't, because the last thing you're coming off of is a movie in 2019 and a movie that is not very well received by people in Rise of Skywalker, right? You've got to come out with something that people are going to get excited with. Now, is Damon Lindelof's movie the one? I don't know, but I think that it depending on what it is and what I think they announce. I do think they announce what it is. What the full plot is, I don't know, but I think they're going to announce what it is, that it's coming out in 2025.
All right.
I don't think they mentioned the Taika Waititi thing. I don't think they mentioned the Patty Jenkins thing, because I don't think either one of those. I don't think either one of those things is happening. I think that they announce either the guarantee of Lindelof's movie as its own, or the plan of the movies that are going to be happening in the and this new playground that's happening inside of the films. If they do that, this is the very last time that Kathleen Kennedy can ever announce movies coming out and then not all coming out. She cannot do that ever again. Like, she's done it so many times that it's a joke, to where it's like.
So then what makes this the last time for her?
Bob Iger going, this is the last time. Like, this is the last time you can do this. Like, you can't do this anymore. You just can't. You can't. I mean, it's a joke. Like,
So you don't
what other studio does that to it? It happens sometimes. I mean, it happened with Marvel when they
Happened with DC.
It happens. But Star Wars, it's a joke. It's like, hey, Patty Jenkins is getting a movie. Just kidding. Tyga's getting a movie. We're just kidding around. Hey, Lord and Miller on it. They left. Colin Trevorrow, he's on the movie. He's gone too. You remember that guy, Gareth Edwards? Yeah, he didn't really direct that movie. Well, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. A lot. Oh, yeah, we're going to get the Game of Thrones guys. Oh, they're gone as well. It just keeps happening.
I'm not saying no.
It just can't happen again.
I just, it's the flagship, and I get that. And a movie, we talk about the difference between a movie and a TV series. Where the TV series, they can let Tony Gilroy go off to England. It's like, okay, yeah, go make this movie about Andor.
Right.
Okay, we're not going to be there too much. You've got the lead film of a studio that's a tentpole. You're like, you've got every eye on that. And
I know
just
that's
sucks
that there's too many. Well, that's the whole point of the.
Yeah.
And the other thing with Gilroy, the Gilroy thing is this: that the difference of the too many cooks in the kitchen is that there are some cooks that if you try to come into their kitchen, they're going to kick you in the ass until you get out of their kitchen. Yeah. That's Tony Gilroy, right now. And it's also, you're not wrong that there's a significant difference with television and with movies, because movies with TV, I make this point about Andor all the time. Andor has so much critically acclaimed. People are like, oh, it didn't do as well. How do you know that? People are still watching it now.
Yeah.
Because that's the metrics on streaming. Movies, if it doesn't do well in those couple opening weekends, you're done.
You're done.
And
you get 2 weekends.
You're done. It might do well on Disney Plus, maybe, who knows? But it's done. And that's how you got to get your money back. So that's why there's all this panic. And unless you get somebody like a James Cameron or somebody who's going to go, get out. Yeah. You're going to get people like, you get Gareth Edwards, you're cooked. You're Gareth Edwards. You can't. What are you going to do?
And it sucks to think about it, but it's all part of it now. Like, no one's out there clamoring for a drum player from Andor action figure,
right?
But the movies, that's a whole other industry that fuels Disney.
It does,
and you've got to have those eyes on those movies and and the merchandise, and it's like it's massive. But you know what I can see happening?
What?
Let's say they don't do a trilogy. Let's say we're going to take the best stories and make movies out of them.
That's what I think
there's some smaller known director that's got an idea. They're like, oh, that's about $100 million. We'll give it to go make that. And they leave him alone because it's not tied to Skywalker. Mm-hmm. It's not tied to this or that.
Leave him alone in a movie.
And they leave him alone.
They won't.
I know they won't. But if they did, and the movie comes out, that's the Star Wars that's going to be phenomenal. Because it's going to be the Andor of the movies.
Well, what I hope happens is that whoever is, whether it's Lindelof or whoever it does, takes notes and looks at the stuff that was successful with The Mandalorian, looks at the stuff that was successful with Andor, and says, well, how do we do that on film? Like, what I think was the major mistake by J.J. Abrams, J.J. Abrams J.J. Abrams made J.J. Abrams' version of Star Wars.
His love letter to Star Wars.
Yeah, and he made like he didn't. People say this, that it's a bad thing to say, but I think it is about, like, all, and Rian Johnson included, they both made fan films. They both made their version of fan films, and I think that and I overused the quote by Favreau. I overuse it because I just think it's so relevant. And he never used those two guys as examples, but I use them as examples where Favreau said, we're not making an homage to Star Wars. We're making an homage to the things that inspired Star Wars. Right. And that's how you got to do it. Yeah. You got to do the stuff that, and Andor didn't necessarily do that, but what they did do is they made homage to past spy thrillers and past other things that played into things that have made other spy genres pretty well.
Thinking about what you just said, it's amazing to me how, and maybe because he did have such a love for Star Wars, Abrams, but like his Trek.
Yeah.
Was fantastic.
I loved it.
And I know there's a lot of people that diehard Trekkies that didn't like it as much.
Right.
But what it did was it opened it up to the major audience. It didn't make it this niche thing.
Agreed. I agree with it totally.
And he said, he's like, I'm not a Trek guy. I'm not a Star Wars guy.
Right.
So it allowed him that free, like kind of with Gilroy. Like, I'm going to play in this universe. I'm going to do different things. Oh, your ships, they move slow because they're naval battleships? Nah, that's how these things are going to move fast.
Right.
And I remember seeing that for the first time, and I love Trek. But I'm going, why has no one ever thought about this? This is incredible.
No, it's good. I thought that first Star Trek was probably out of all the movies he did, including Force Awakens, I think that was his best one, the first Star Trek, the 2000.
I love Mission Impossible more 3, but
no, I mean out of the two space movies.
Oh yeah,
yeah,
easily.
Yeah, or not two space movies. I guess 4 space movies. Did he? Yeah, he did the second one, didn't he?
4. He did 2 and 2.
He did 2 and 2.
Oh, it's easily his best one.
Yeah,
easily.
Yeah. Are you sure? Did he do the second one, or did?
Oh, he did it.
He directed.
I was there.
I mean, you were there.
I worked on that movie. I'm in that movie.
Are you really?
In the Darkness. I'm a Starfleet officer.
Are you really?
Yes, sir.
Get out of here.
Yes.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to put the picture up.
I don't know.
What's it called?
Star Trek Into Darkness.
Into Darkness. I actually like that one. A lot of people didn't like it. I liked it. Look at you.
That's not it, right? That's not me. Right? That's not me from the fucking.
That's not you.
I'm a SWAT officer. That's a movie I did.
What's that movie?
It's a what movie I did called Athena.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if you ever have pictures of me. There's a scene of me in there.
Who's that? What's that one from?
That was a FSU thesis film school.
Look at this.
That's Young and the Restless. That's from Taken.
There's a lot of stuff in here, guys. You gotta look at my. That's a terrible cutout.
That's a Schmodown cutout. That's a
terrible.
Schmodown cutout of me.
Terrible. Look at that. Okay. Well,
but no, I remember because I remember on that set at the time he was being called Khan everywhere. There was no hiding.
Right.
They were calling him Harrison on set. He was like Khan.
Right.
I'll tell you this too. I took a what?
Okay, no.
I'll take a leak. I took a leak with one of the guys. I'm in there and comes up next to me at the urinal. Doesn't wash his hands. I'm not gonna tell you who.
Yeah.
I don't want to ruin it. Didn't wash his hands. One of the actors. Big time actor.
Not gonna happen anymore.
I'm taking a leak. I look over. This and that we're talking. He gets up and think. Out he goes. He didn't fucking wash his hands.
Yeah, it's my favorite George Carlin bit though. I don't wash my hands after I pee. You know when I wash them? After I shit on them. It's the best.
God, Carlin was the best.
He was the best. Anyway, so there's a lot of stuff coming out at Celebration. I think that we even scratched the surface, to be honest. Like, I hope that they announce new TV shows. I think the addition
I'm
of
upset
new movie.
you're not going to be there when they don't announce it, and I can't see your face.
Well, you're not going to be there either.
I know.
Yeah, so
but I can imagine.
You'd be here with me, watching it from the back. Anyway, so what do you guys think? You think that we're even close to right here? Do you think they're going to announce that Lindelof thing? I'm so curious to hear what you think inside of the comments of the stuff that you believe is going to happen at Celebration this year. Go ahead and comment and let me know. Now, before we move on, I want to tell you guys also about Manscaped, that beard trimmer, man. The beard hedger is awesome. It's so great. I'm so excited that Manscaped got into it. They get into beard products. It's the best. They are revolutionizing men's grooming with the brand new beard hedger, Pro Kit. It's a beard trim to a fresh shave. The technology behind the Beard Hedger Pro Kit allows you to shape your signature beard look. You can finally use Manscaped products to make your drapes match your carpet by going to manscaped.com. Use that code BIGTHING, 20% off. It's really great. You got to tame your mane. You don't want a weird beard. Say goodbye to all your stubble trouble with Manscaped. It's the best. I love this thing. I've been using it a lot recently. It's waterproof, by the way. Titanium-coated T-blade. It's got beard shampoo, conditioner, beard oil, beard balm. I love it. And the Pro Beard Kit, by the way, it comes with 3 free gifts. It's got a beard brush, it's got a comb, it's got scissors, and it ensures that your beard is ready to impress. Take care of yourself. Take care of your face, and do it. Do it with Manscaped. You get 20% off and free shipping. Go to that code BIGTHING at manscaped.com. 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com. Use that code BIGTHING. Manscaped, Beard Hedger. 1 stroke, 1 guard, 20 lengths. Do it. All right. Let's get to you guys. Now, I know that we had some other topics, but for the most part, I want to hear from you guys. We got some questions we're going to talk about.
Fire them away.
Fire them away. So here are the questions I asked you guys. This was just the community. Sure.
What is with you and talking today?
My brain is fried because my daughter has been waking up at like 5:15 in the morning and waking up because she's a 5-year-old child. And yesterday was Valentine's Day.
Oh boy.
Yeah, exactly. So let's see. Let's get to, here are the questions from you guys. Thank you guys so much for submitting them. We're excited that you did. And here are some of the questions now. First one. This comes in from Brian Goins. What movie information will we get from a Celebration? Once again, I think that
there you go, Brian.
I think Lindelof for sure. You don't. So you, just to clarify, you don't think any movie news at all? What do you say?
I'm not a gambling man.
We don't have to bet on this. Do you think that you don't think they're gonna announce any movie stuff in April? When do you think they're gonna announce it? I'm so curious to what you think about this.
Okay, so I was gonna ask you this before last time we were on this. What has Lindelof been on a stage talking Star Wars yet?
Not yet.
No D23. He wasn't there.
No.
Wasn't at Comic-Con.
No.
And it was announced. Has he talked about it?
I think briefly.
Is he in an interview? Is like,
Yeah,
hey,
I think briefly. It hasn't. It's not like this super thing. We don't even know if he's doing.
I just don't think you announce a movie if you can't talk about it in depth.
I think that, and
being it's the only one.
But
If you had the panel of this is the Star Wars the future of Star Wars films, that was the title of
that's
this
what I think
thing.
it's going to be.
And you had Lindelof kicking it off, and this will lead us into so and so film. But I don't think they're that far along.
Here's what I'd like
Nah.
them to do. Here, you don't. So you say no.
I'll take a layman's bet, and I'll say I don't think Lindelof's at Celebration.
Okay, I think you're wrong on that one, but
right.
but I understand I understand why you're hesitant about it because it's
like in the past, it's a kerfluffle.
100%. I understand where you're coming from for sure. I just what I learned about the Lucasfilm decision making at Celebration is if you expect them to do like for some reason they think they're like this little small independent company. They're
Lucasfilm?
not.
No, they're not.
They're not.
The biggest companies on the planet.
They are, and they have a small kind of staff, and they have a small thing and everything too, for sure. But they're Lucasfilm, right? And they could do so much more than I think that they do. And even when I knew people who worked in the Celebration stuff, and you'd be surprised how small the crew is that runs in comparison to other things that run Celebration.
Yeah. That
they're running like chickens without their heads because it's like they're a small crew, and what they should do in a situation like that like they should do what you're talking about, like announce like a major slate with some big things and go balls out, know what you're going to do and have like, and imagine if they came out and said, we've got so-and-so doing this, but really have it locked in to start shooting.
Yeah. They're
too hesitant to try to do it. They're going to, I don't know.
look, if Feige does it and what Gunn and Safran just did.
Right.
This is what we're doing.
But they're not, they don't have the confidence yet.
I'm saying. So I don't think there's, imagine Gunn and Safran gets those pressed together. Even if it's a small thing.
Yeah.
It's like, we've got Superman Legacy coming out. It's going to be the story of Superman's start.
Right.
See ya, guys. They ain't going to do that with Lindelof. Like, it's going to be my movie and it's going to be told in this region. No one's cast. You know the start date. Gotta go. See you want to see you.
No.
And he's only writing it too. He's not even directing it.
I think the director comes out with him.
You think an announcement? You think announcing a director happens?
They already have the director. The director.
So they have their. But I'm saying no. We don't know who it is.
Yeah, we do, and it is the director of Ms. Marvel, Charmin Obaid-Chinoy, is directing.
You're good with names.
Thank you.
I've noticed that on the show. You're real good names.
So she's gonna be directing, and I think they bring out.
That was back in October. They announced that.
Yeah, I think they bring out Charmin.
Okay.
They didn't announce it, but this is an exclusive that Justin Kroll had.
It was an exclusive, so nothing has been announced on Disney.
I think it's been confirmed now by them since. Yes.
Or is this one of those things where like Mary Elizabeth Winstead has been scooped as in the show, but we're not talking she's cast yet.
But no one's ever talked. Lindelof and I think, and they both spoken on it.
Okay,
I'm pretty sure.
All right, so then maybe that hedges towards they might say so. I didn't think they had a director attached. Okay, that's my bad.
I think that they both come out. I think they tell you what the movie is, and there's the rumor. Like I'll tell you this: if I don't think she is, but the rumor is that Daisy Ridley is in this movie, right? That's the rumor. If Daisy Ridley is in this movie,
she's there.
Then she's there,
of course.
And they bring her out because that'll be one of the biggest.
And I'll say this,
yeah,
because it's Celebration. It's like Comic-Con.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone will go nuts.
Everyone will go nuts.
Outside of that, that's a weird. I think
there will be people. I don't think that Daisy Ridley, out of all the people who complain about Star Wars, there are certainly people who do. I think Daisy Ridley is the one who's complained about the least.
You don't think with the whole that Mary Sue crap and all that?
I didn't say crap? She wasn't complained about. I said the least. Because I think that, I mean...
Well, I think Finn got it the most.
Finn got...
Her second.
Rose got it the most.
Oh, yeah.
Rose,
I'm talking like the leads.
Yeah. Finn, and then...
Rose, that poor actress.
Poe, I mean, you could do with or without Poe. I mean,
yeah,
I love Oscar Isaac, but the character himself wasn't even really do much, and they didn't... The character
I think all of the actors got screwed because the characters
were so inconsistent.
Was this.
They were just so inconsistent from all three movies.
And that's not the actors' faults. They weren't actors of stature that could go, you know what, this is my character and doesn't do
at all. That's why I think same reason that
I don't mean actors of stature.
I know what you mean. Daisy Ridley, if she is in this movie, she's announced and she comes out and we find out what she is. If she's not in the movie, then you maybe announce who is
she's
going to
right.
be. All right, so next one. User WI6U1 was like a droid. Lucasfilm put out a recap of Mando Season 1 and Season 2 and Boba Fett to help people get to speed before Mando Season 3. Do you think they'll attach just the beginning of Episode 1? I didn't see that, but it makes sense. It depends on how long it is. I think that they should do that. I think that they absolutely should have a recap to...
You can make a half-hour episode on that thing. A recap. Yeah. It'd be great.
Well, you know what's so weird? When we saw that Boba Fett, the Obi-Wan thing at Celebration, Episode 1 of Obi-Wan has like this great prequel of all the stuff that led up to it. They show you scenes from...
Yeah.
That wasn't in that screening. They didn't show that in that screening.
When we saw our screening.
When we saw it, which I thought was weird because...
They were probably like... These people know exactly what's going on. They don't need a recap.
I don't know. The effect of it was really
it's the hype.
It had a good effect to start it up. I thought it was a mistake not to show that, but then they showed it on Episode 1 of Obi-Wan. It worked really well. So I think it is crucial to show that, to show people who don't assume, and I think Favreau knows it, don't assume that everyone has seen Book of Boba Fett. Don't assume that. Like, assume that your fans...
And it's important.
It's super important.
It's very important because if you watch and if Mando and you go to Mando 3... You're going to be lost.
If you just watch Mandalorian, that's all you watch, and you haven't watched a frame of anything else because you don't give a crap, you have to.
So I think that's why it was a disservice to, I know people like, well, they are even saying that Book of Boba Fett is Mando 2.5. I was like, some people are just like Boba Fett, and they're going to tune in. I didn't see Boba Fett. I didn't watch it.
Right.
Oh, what's going on? When did he get him back?
Right.
So you
have to do it. All right. Let's see. Noah Parks. 775. Noah Sparks, excuse me. If they make movies post Rise of Skywalker, which I believe is their plan, who will be their threat to peace? The First Order is gone, and I feel like it'd be kind of redundant if they did remnants of that because that's what's happening in The Mandalorian just with the Empire. It has to be something new and fresh. I could not agree with you more. They cannot do another Empire. They cannot do another thing where it's just
First Order, Final Order,
they can't do a rehash of the same crap.
Yeah.
What they could do is show the politics within and the way that things... What I thought they were going to do with what happens in like kind of the books and everything too, and just shows you the history of politics. I look at after World War II. After we won the big war in World War II, and it didn't come back to America, and everything was great in America now. It was like, no, people got in power in America afterwards, and things happened, and then they settled, and they fought within each other, and all this stuff happened within. And you got the stuff that happened in the 60s, 50s, and the 60s. And the same type of thing I thought was going to happen in the new trilogy, where in the books it happens, where the new government started to fight within themselves. And you can have enemies within who you thought originally were the good guys, of the whoever this new, maybe within the resistance, the new government, start to fight within each other. And there's whatever the political battles are. Plus, what did Rey do? This is where I think Rey could fit in. Did Rey finally build out that Jedi Order? And if it takes place 5 or 10 years later, you can have a bunch of Jedi. She went out and she found those people that were Force sensitive, and she's training them. And then you do have Jedi, and you could always have the Jedi and Sith type thing. It doesn't have to be Sith. It could be somebody who's going out to fight on, and study the dark arts and all that. So there's a lot that you can do but it should not be stormtroopers or anything that looks like stormtroopers or any of that crap.
And what exactly do we know? I mean, we know, everyone knows the High Republic.
Yeah.
What is that exact time frame?
It's way before.
So we're looking at this, what if it's because you can't do, because it like, how many times are we going to do a rebellion? Mm-hmm. And
that's what I mean, yeah.
But what if you did, the rebuilding of the Republic back the way it was,
right? And
the rebuilding of the Jedi. But what if there's that conflict of the Republic's like, we saw what happened with the Jedi when they turned bad. It's like, we don't want Jedi anymore.
Right.
This is not the way. And the Jedi are like, no, this is how it's always been. We just got corrupted and this and that. Like,
it's the conflict
being on
within.
both sides of good with the conflict. And in those good, they arrive.
And villains start to appear because who think they are doing the right thing. And it's not just clear-cut evil, right? And it's like, I would love to see.
That's some great storytelling. I mean, with Rey leading a rise of Jedi,
she doesn't
want to bring them back to old school. And
she doesn't have to be the lead, though. She could just be like, she could be the Obi-Wan. She could be the Obi-Wan. And just someone in the back and kind of helping when she could help and learning this. And like if you can get cameos from Finn and Poe and throughout, fine, but don't focus on them. Focus on other things.
Is Mom Mothma still alive?
At that point,
when did she die? Do we ever know when she dies? Is it like in a canon or a book or something?
Anything that's not in the TV or movies,
We've never seen her die in movies or TV.
Anything in TV and movies, I don't take seriously anymore because I think that they can negate it.
That to me is such a great character that could then bring forward at this point.
Maybe, yeah. She retired though. That was in the novels. She retired. She gave up doing it, and she also put down like weapons and all this kind of stuff.
So I see her as being a figurehead to bring back.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know if she was on that on
I'm
Hosni
sure
and Prime.
someone listening this can. Yeah, but but we never saw.
We never saw
the actress.
We never saw for sure.
Either Genevieve O'Reilly.
Yeah, I don't
or
know.
anything like that.
I don't know. So maybe
that to me is a figurehead you bring back.
You could, but either way, it's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting for sure. So we'll find that out. All right, we'll do a couple more here, and then we'll call it a day. All right, Jacob Fleck. Let's see. Who is an actor or actress who has appeared in a Star Wars movie or show before you'd like to see return as a new character, similar to Andy Serkis? I mean, if they were going to do something where you, as like an alien or something, where we wouldn't be recognizable as far as the same character.
They can't be recognizable. I think that's the thing.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Ashley Eckstein would be interesting to come in and do some stuff. Would voice Ahsoka for a long time. I'd like to see her do. Sam Witwer is someone for sure that I'd like to see do something else.
So an actor that's in Star Wars brought back into something.
You do something else. I mean, Sam Witwer he's voiced the Emperor, he's voiced Darth Maul. He's obviously Star Killer. So I'd like to see him and Vanessa Marshall, who voiced Hera.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think I have anyone.
Okay.
Nah.
Thanks for playing along, Mike.
I mean, I would have said Alden Ehrenreich.
Yeah.
Give that guy another shit. Give him a little redemption in Star Wars.
James Rell, 5963. How likely is it that we get a Star Wars crossover event, given that Kathleen Kennedy touched on it a few years ago during the investors' call, but given that so much time has passed, would it still be in the plans? So my hope is that it's very much in the plans, because here's why.
Crossover with what?
So when she mentioned that remember that big event that you and I covered for Star Wars Celebration 2020, when they did that big investors thing and they announced all these shows and everything too, and that's when she announced she announced the Rangers of the New Republic.
That was my favorite thing that they announced.
And so when they announced that, I watched it recently because someone sent it to me, and I think it was Miguel Fernandez who sent it to me, and I watched it again. She's clearly reading right off the teleprompter and doesn't know what the hell she means when she's like, it's a crossover event. So they told me that it was going to be, I don't know. I trust in Dave and whatever, but it's a crossover event. And that crossover event, I think, is still on the table. But I think instead of Rangers, I think it's Skeleton Crew. I think that they just turned.
But crossover with what?
Filoni and Favreau are working on their own universe, which is Mandalorian, Skeleton Crew, Ahsoka, and Boba Fett, right? That's where they play. They play in there. I think that Thrawn is going to be like the big villain, and Thrawn is going to play. That's why I think that there was this major moment in Book of Boba Fett when Luke looks at Ahsoka and says, "Am I going to see you again?" She goes, "Maybe." I think they definitely see each other, and I think it's about as close to the Timothy Zahn Heir to the Empire novels that we get. I think we get a big crossover movie that comes out that kind of wraps up all of this stuff. That it's going to be a big kind of, Heir to the Empire type movie. At least that's my major hope, but that's what I kind of gathered from her. I don't think it's not going to happen, because I think that was a Filoni Favreau direction that they want to go in. And I think that's the Marvel part of Favreau's brain also going, let's do this way.
Okay.
You don't think so?
Well, we talked about this and my thoughts on that. Like I view Star Wars as a connective universe already. And you had explained like you want this to kind of, I understand that point, but I'm just like,
it's all connected
Star
in
Wars
one way.
feels all connected.
It's all connected in one way or another, but you can't say that, even though in history, sure, Andor is connected to Mandalorian in some way from the history of the events, sure. Yeah. But as the way that they're airing, those two things are not connected. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like they're not, like, you can significantly tell that these are two different people that are making these shows.
Yeah.
And Mandalorian plays in the same realm that Ahsoka will, and the same one that Boba Fett, and the same. That's why you look at the crossover, the connected universe. Din showing up in Boba Fett.
Yeah.
Din ain't showing up in Andor.
Yeah.
Right. And like,
yeah, you're right.
And I know it's a different time period, but you know what I'm saying. Like,
right.
Just
I get you.
Like the characters are the characters in Filoni and Favreau's universe could show up in each other's universes.
Right.
And I think that's what's going to happen in this crossover event. I do think it happens. I just wonder when. And maybe look, shit. Maybe they announced that at Celebration. Maybe they finally kind of go back into that. We'll see.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll see. All right, last one. This is the very last question that we got to get out of here.
What do we got?
This is Mason McLean, do you think Mando will lose or win the inevitable fight with Bo-Katan using the Darksaber, and do you think they will set up Ahsoka and Thrawn at the end of Mandalorian Season 3? So 2 great questions. I do think they're going to set up Ahsoka thing. I think that Sabine will actually show up in this. I think you have to, because you look at her history with Bo and the Mandalorian and the Darksaber and all that. I think Sabine will be introduced and then carry over into Ahsoka. I think we'll get a little bit of that tease, the same way that they teased the Boba Fett thing. As far as the fight, I don't know. I think that
when you have to defeat someone to take the Darksaber from them, do you have to kill them or just be defeated?
I think you just have to defeat him because he didn't kill
right.
He didn't kill what's his
armor?
Moff Gideon.
Oh, Moff Gideon.
Yeah, he just beat him in battle. So
she defeats him. Yeah,
you think so? And takes it back again?
Yeah.
You think she dies?
Do I think Bo dies?
Yeah.
You have inside information, probably. So
I really do not.
Bet you on that.
I'm not betting. I'm not betting.
She was in here for 2 hours with you. Shut your mouth.
She doesn't tell me.
Shut your mouth.
She doesn't tell me diddly squat. First of all, I wouldn't want her to because I wouldn't want her to get in trouble. But she doesn't tell me anything about that stuff.
I don't think she dies. Why would they kill her?
I think it would be a big mistake if they killed her.
I don't think they kill her.
Yeah.
No way.
I would rather her. I would like to see her get a spinoff series for selfish reasons as well. But like I would say,
what are they called? The Owl Pack or whatever they call it?
The Night Watch.
Night Watch.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could do a whole bunch of stuff
I'd love
with
to
her.
see it. All right. We got a lot that we covered here today. What do you guys think? I guess the biggest question is, what are they going to announce at Star Wars Celebration? That'll be the title of the episode. What will they announce? What do you think they're going to announce? Tell me about the movies. Tell me about the TV shows. Tell me about anything that you want to see. Get a conversation going here today. We want to hear from you. All right, for myself and Mike Kalinowski, I want to thank you guys so much. Make sure, once again, I've told you about Spotify. Very, very important. We're trying to get back into that the rankings there, and we need you guys to help us out. So go ahead and do that. Check us out. Thank you so much. We appreciate you guys. For myself and Mike Kalinowski, that's it. We'll see you next time.